So it's called SoulGeek.com,
Correct.
which sort of implies that there's the rest of the world, right? Yeah. Is there a word for like in Harry Potter, Muggles or anybody who's non-magical? Is there a word for people who are not geeks?
I've heard the term normies.
Normies.
I've heard
norms.
Yes, I've heard normies. I've heard norms. Muggles does come up a lot.
Interesting.
Mundane.
Well, that's a Ren Fair term.
Yeah, those.
I thought turkeys was a Ren Fair term.
Mundanes also.
Oh, mundane.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Mundanes. Mundanes is the one which I use.
Mundanes, normies, muggles, and turkeys. But turkeys are specifically more Ren Fair.
No, mundanes is also Ren Fair.
Ah, interesting. Mundanes.
And as far as geek is concerned, we think of geek of the modern definition, where it's more or less a verb. You hear people talk about, oh, I geek out over this, I geek out over that.
Right.
People talk about it as being something they're passionate about. These days, oh, I'm a baseball geek. I'm a library geek.
Right.
I'm a sports geek.
Right. It's entered into the vernacular as not a pejorative anymore.
Right. That's the definition we have claimed as our own.
Oh, okay. Ed, did you have a comment? It looked like you were...
I was just going to say that not all geeks are socially awkward and...
Well,
so, in other words, now it's okay, at least what Dino's saying. In other words, as geek becomes more cool, and obviously, Bill Gates is sort of bringing it up.
Sorry, Bill Gates is a nerd.
So there's a difference between a geek and a nerd.
Yes.
Oh, I guess we had that web panel. I wasn't on it. So essentially,
from what I understand,
more people are coming out with their geekdom. Essentially, is what it's coming to.
From what I understand, nerds tend to develop all of the stuff that we geeks buy.
Aha! That's a very nice, simple way of doing it.
Both,
yes, and of course there are generalizations, and I guess a site like SoulGeek.com is there to sort of parse them out and hook the people up who are not necessarily the Hello Kitty with the World of Warcraft, unless they're
That's
particularly
true.
hot.
I mean, our profiles are broken down in like 18 different categories of geekdom. Are you into sci-fi, horror, fantasy, animation, anime, cosplay, conventions, fan fiction, signings, role-playing games, video games, gadgetry? I mean, it's all broken down. So, yeah. So you can get real specific if you want.
Wow. Any other questions from the panelists?
Well, I suppose just generally, the thing that I have along there is you do have people that, for lack of sense of the word, have social integration issues. They tended to be, growing up, in large school bodies, large social bodies, the ones who just kind of gravitated off to themselves with one or two or three other people. Other than science fiction conventions, we tend not to meet in groups larger than 20 or 30 at a time, at the most. So, what is the biggest event that you actually hold? Is it this party?
Well, we do the monthly mixers. We have had one gathering we held in Vegas, which was actually put on by the members, not by any of us who actually run the site. Members just said, hey, let's get together for Valentine's, and a whole bunch of folks just gathered in Vegas. I had to contact those who were putting it together and said, hi, I run the site, mind if I join you? And it was actually where we found out that the site was actually working. We had no idea. This happened 6 months after we launched. They still had the Star Trek experience at the Hilton there in Vegas, and everybody wanted to meet at Quark's.
Warp Core Breach.
Yeah. A lot of people had those. And we honestly didn't know if the site was working. Again, it was only 6 months old. I announced to the membership that I was going to be there. I showed up, and I was introduced to about a half dozen couples who all came because they met each other on Soul Geek, came specifically to Vegas just to say thank you, which really was amazing to me. I literally went back to my hotel room and I bawled, because the site really was built in dedication of the memory of my late wife. It was, as much of a cliche as it sounds, it was one of those circumstances of something good coming out of tragedy.
Right.
Because I was at a Battlestar Galactica event with my gal Casey, was my old girlfriend. We reunited after like 26 years. She was the one who said, well, why don't you build the site? And together we did it. And I wanted this to be part of Mary Kay's legacy, and I think of every couple that we have brought together as part of that legacy, of taking this tragedy and doing something. In fact, I used funds that were left to me by her to build the site. So she's very much a part of this. So my having Soul Geek is completely different from I built it because it was a great business opportunity. Right. Geeks have money. I think this will be a huge hit. I think none of that was the motivation behind it at all. I mean, I'm a full-time voice actor. Right. to have 2 careers is insane.
Dude, I preaching to the converted.
Yeah.
I know Darnell, you've been very patient. You had another question?
Oh, no, it wasn't a question. It was just a statement.
Yeah.
There are still many geeks who, even if there is an environment for them, there still may be socially awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So just because there's an environment, there has to be a motivation or some kind of personality to talk to people.
Correct, and this is why the Soul Geek singles game night is a game night. It's why it's not just a singles gathering. Come put on your best. It's not
like speed dating.
Yeah, don't come and put your best on. In fact, we even tried speed dating, and it didn't work at all.
Because everyone brought their
Everybody was too nervous. Nobody wanted to do it. A small group did it. They had a blast. Everybody else saw it, and so before you knew it, we had 50 people in a room to do speed dating, and because you have to have even numbers, giant crowd of people who then couldn't participate. So we changed it to a game night, and that changed everything.
Arlene.
What is your age range for your site?
It's pretty much all over the map. I am 46 years old. I grew up on the works of Ray Bradbury and Rod Serling and Gene Roddenberry and classic science fiction from the 1970s on. My daughter from a previous relationship is in her early 20s. She was involved in video games, online communities, cosplay, anime, etc. We put our heads together in the design of the site so that it would have a multi-generational appeal. So the age range is all over the place. I wanted the site to appeal as much to her generation as it does to mine.
Thank you, Dino Andrade, for being with us tonight on neverendingpanel.com. We really appreciate you coming out to be here.
Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap.